What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. I hope everyone out there is doing well on a Friday. Hope you guys did everything you need to do to finish off the work week after Thanksgiving. And, getting ready for a championship week out there in college football. A lot of great games, of course. We had just recently, this week, we had the early signing period for recruiting, and also the controversial CFP rankings, of course. A lot of stuff to talk about on today's show, but overall, I hope everyone out there is doing well. As always, guys, we appreciate you all listening in to the show. Guys, we're on many different streaming platforms out there, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It's definitely important for us. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So, as always, we very much appreciate you guys' support with the show. And also, we are on TikTok as well. Also, so if you are on TikTok, you can definitely follow us at the Breakdown Sportscast. You can definitely listen to some of our favorite clips from the show on there as well. So, as always, guys, we appreciate you all supporting the show. As always, guys, you know who I'm with. I am with my good friend and co-host. You know who he is. He is Chris Bolton. Chris, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Kory? Man, I'm doing good. It's weird not having college football to try to occupy us as we record the show on this Thursday evening, but I'm sure Saturday will make up for it with all the championship games that we have going down this weekend. So I think chaos is imminent. We'll get into all of that, but it's I'm feeling good though and excited to see what goes down this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, partner. I mean, look, this is the time of the year that a lot of teams build up their resumes for. They're trying to fight their way into these conference championships because, man, yeah, when you look at the CFP rankings and how the way everything is formatted, Chris, getting to that conference championship in your respective conference is very important. It's very pivotal in you staking your flag in for the playoffs. So it's definitely a big week. A lot of great games are coming up, and we're definitely about to find out who belongs at the top of each conference, and who's been the pretenders all along.
Exactly. So we're definitely going to find out. We're going to see, some of these teams have been up here at top of the rankings. Can they put a stamp on the season and get that conference championship? And can some others, crash the party? Because there are a few teams definitely capable of crashing the party this weekend, Kory.
Yeah, they look, they hoping to watch the party die. As the one Kendrick Lamar would say.
So, yeah, man, I think, and honestly, I expect a couple of them to make that happen. So,
Yes.
But we're going to get into all of that.
Absolutely. So yeah, folks. Great to be back with you again on another episode. Of course, I know you're probably wondering, what are we talking about? Well, like I said earlier, at the beginning of the show, there was a lot that did happen this week, leading up to our conference championship games that are coming up this weekend. We'll delve deep, Chris, into college football recruiting. We had a big week for that. The early signing period was on Wednesday, and it's still
Hmm.
pretty much ongoing now. So there's still time for a lot of high school talent to figure out which teams that they want to go to for next season and beyond potentially. Um, and yeah, overall, Chris, it was just a big week out there for college football recruiting. What were your thoughts about this Wednesday's news in terms of recruiting? Who were your biggest winners and losers out there? Yeah, what was your take over this season in the early signing period in recruiting?
Well, for me, two teams instantly come to mind as winners during this early period, and one team for sure does come to mind as a loser as well. And,
Yes.
and I'm sure if you guys have been on the socials, you might have seen some clips circulating of him and some comments that he's had about this whole recruiting and how everything goes down nowadays. But we talk about the winners first on this show. So for me, the first one I want to talk about, it might surprise some people, but I'm going with Auburn.
Yeah.
Auburn,
Gotta give it to
Auburn
him.
locking down what is ranked on 247 Sports as a number six, the sixth ranked recruiting class so far in the early signing period, and the guys that they have locked in. The reason I have them and as a winner, you look at their top recruits that they have. They won the battle of in-state guys, Kory. You
Yeah.
bring in a Jared Smith who out of Alabaster, Alabama, 6'6", 235-pound pass rusher, should be a monster 5-star kid. And then also Malik Autry, another defensive lineman. Auburn said we're gonna get back to being D-line you baby. So another guy you could throw there in the interior, 6'5", 320, 5-star kid. And then also you found your quarterback. You kept Deuce Knight. There was a lot of rumblings that Deuce would flip to Ole Miss. And Deuce is a dynamic quarterback. He's going to be a problem, I think, man. Especially, with what we've seen Hugh Freeze do over the years with mobile quarterbacks, a Swag Kelly, Chad Kelly, a Bo Wallace, Deuce, talented live arm and can make plays with his legs. He's a true dual threat guy. So I think when you get him in the system, and you have a Cam Coleman, you got different guys on the outside at receiver already there at Auburn, and you're only bringing in more talent. Auburn has a really good foundation laid with this recruiting class, and they even have guys who are going to come in day one that will make an impact instantly. And so I think if you're an Auburn fan, this is a great sign. And I just can't emphasize enough how important it is that you brought in the 5 stars in your state. That is step one to rebuilding a program. And you see Alabama does have a higher ranked class, but the 5 stars that they brought in were guys out of state. So if you're winning the recruiting battles of top tier elite talent within your state, that is the foundation to be up there with Alabama and to be the team in state, to be that Auburn team that competed for a national championship and brought home national championships. That is the foundation. So I know Auburn fans didn't like how things went down this year, and it is a little disappointing. You don't go bowling, but trust me, Hugh Freeze and his staff, they are working, and things will get changed around real quick if they continue to recruit like this.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right, Chris. I think Hugh Freeze knew the importance on having a really good class coming up for next season. He has, especially after this season, he had no ability to afford another bad season at Auburn. he had to get the class that he needed to take that next step. If he's trying to build something special at Ole Miss, I'm thinking about his time at Ole Miss at Auburn. He he needed to have a really good class. So I think that this was definitely a great start, Chris. By getting the guys that he needs, like you said, going in the state of Alabama or staying in the state of Alabama, getting those guys that you need, fighting off Alabama. It's what some people say, your bigger brother, and other teams around you, because I think that is one of the things about Auburn. A lot of maybe Auburn fans probably kind of side-eyed at times, but you are, as with everyone else, but especially you are trying to get talent in a place where Alabama's like right next door to you. And on top of that, Georgia's not that far away in proximity. And then you have to think about Florida. And then, LSU at times will go into the state of Alabama and other places. We can attest to that just in the state of Mississippi on how aggressive LSU can be in terms of getting a lot of those guys from the state of Mississippi. So as for Auburn, I think that this was a big win for Hugh Freeze. He needed to get the guys that he needed to try to build something special at Auburn, and I think this is a good step for them for the future, and especially getting a guy like Deuce Knight. Had Deuce left or flipped from Auburn to Ole Miss, probably wouldn't go so well down there in the plains, Chris. So I think that this class was a good step in the right direction.
Oh no, for sure. Like you said, man, keeping Deuce is huge because the quarterback problems at Auburn can't be chronicled enough. What's been going on there, and Hugh has stressed, once I get my players, things will be different. So we know Deuce is his guy. He is the quarterback of the future, and potentially, depending on how aggressive Auburn is in the portal this year, he could be your quarterback of now. He's that good. He's that talented. Deuce is a guy that's he's bordering being a 5-star kid. Like, he's a high 4-star. He is a blue chip prospect. And so he's somebody that there's a reason Ole Miss was after him. And Ole Miss already has Austin Simmons. Like, they already have their guy there, and they still wanted to try to get Deuce in the mix, Deuce in the fold. So he's a real deal. And so, yeah, definitely love what Auburn did. And secondly, my other winner, I think you already you know where I'm going with this. The Michigan Wolverines.
You got to give it to them. You got to
give it to Michigan. I mean, the amount of guys that have flipped to Michigan, and most importantly, the top player in the nation, the belle of the ball, the gem of this class, Bryce Underwood, getting him to flip from LSU to Michigan. You got rid of different coaches. I think this offense is going to become a dynamic offense. It will still be a team that will run the football and be very tough in the trenches in the offensive line positions. But you're going to see some receivers now that will be highlighted in this offense. This will be a much more dynamic team going forward. And they brought in some guys who will be dynamite, that will be big time. You of course, like we said, you got Bryce, but you also got Andrew Marsh, coming out of Texas. Texas is known for having big physical wide receivers. Well, this guy, he's actually 6'1", 175, solid size coming out of high school, not too big, but I'm sure he'll put on some more weight, once he gets to Michigan. But he played at Katy Jordan High.
Yeah,
you're from the Texas area.
Yeah,
You're in the Texas area.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, Katy Jordan. I've definitely heard about that program. It's a very good program, of course. So I know he's been highlighted well down there. at that high school, of course, and it
Definitely
paid
well coached.
dividends. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly, and you even though this offense will be more dynamic, a Texas football wide receiver, they're gritty. He's
Oh,
tough.
oh yeah.
No, so he fits right in perfectly to what Michigan is all about as a program in its essence and its core. So look out for Marsh to be a kid who will be a playmaker there, and you also got another one of Bryce's teammate, uh, coming out with Elijah Dotson, the safety there, 6'2", 180, another 4-star kid. Um, you got a 5-star offensive lineman as well to help keep Bryce, standing tall in the pocket. Um, you know,
Which is a
Andrew
must.
Babalola, yes, that is a must. So
Yes.
the guys you were able to make some guys flip from LSU, brought them into Michigan. It's a huge win for them. So not only did you beat Ohio State, but you got your quarterback of the future in this recruiting class, and you have proven yourself that we're going to be just fine. Coach Moore, he's letting people know, like, we're going to continue to recruit. It wasn't just Harbaugh doing it. We're here. My staff is just fine. So yeah, no, big ups to Michigan with what they did with this recruiting class.
Absolutely, Chris. Yeah, yeah. I think Sharon Moore and company, after beating Ohio State, I think that definitely did help them in terms of preparing for next year. And I mean, let's not forget about those deep pockets up there in that Auburn as well. So it's definitely a good time right now, or a better time if you're a Michigan Wolverine. You can kind of, sit back and relax and say, hey, we got some dogs coming in our program as well. So, I think we're going to be just fine for the long haul in terms of competing for a championship in the Big Ten moving forward. So hats off
Yeah.
to Sharon Moore in Michigan. They're doing numbers right now in the recruiting trail, and I'm sure they're not done yet. As well as we're recording this on the Thursday evening. Tomorrow, Chris opens up the transfer portal, so I know they ain't done yet.
They ain't done yet. They are definitely not done yet. The pocketbooks will continue to be opened up for whatever Coach Moore and his staff need to go out to fill out this roster. And just lastly, my loser, and you might be like, how is this team going to be a loser? They have a top 10 class. It's still a loser though. The LSU Tigers, Kory. The amount of guys that have flipped, headlined by Bryce Underwood, and some others that have flipped from LSU to go elsewhere. This class was shaping up to be a top 4 class. Like, you lost some blue chip guys, some like highly touted 4-star guys flipped from LSU going elsewhere. Offensive lineman, 5-star offensive lineman flip, 5-star quarterback flip. Like, you lost some really big recruits. You still have a great class now, still top 10. But for a team that's clearly needs their quarterback of the future, like, you need a big time guy. Bryce is that guy. To lose him at the 23rd hour, like, just right there. It's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially coming off this disappointing season you had this year, and you were priding yourself on bringing in a Bryce. Like, look, it's okay, y'all. Nuts, I know he struggled. We lost Jaden, but we got another kid coming who's potentially going to win a Heisman for us in a couple of years with how talented he is. And you lost that guy.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
you can't put into words how big it is to lose a 5-star quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially when he's the number one player in the nation. Like you were definitely a loser. That's terrible.
Yeah. Especially the year that we've seen from LSU at the quarterback position. You needed a guy like Bryce Underwood that was electric. That definitely was going to bring a lot of eyeballs in next season for LSU. He's not going to be there, so you gotta figure this thing out, Chris. Like, yeah, I definitely get what you were saying because man, on Wednesday it seemed like every other like hour of the day, a guy was flipping from LSU to another school. It just wouldn't stop. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, we say this as like what you said. This is still a really good class. I think anybody below LSU in terms of the rankings would love to have the talent that's coming in to this program. Um, but yeah, it is a bummer if you are an LSU fan and you were looking at more than just the guys that you have, coming in the early signing period. You're looking for more because, LSU fans, they definitely pride themselves on being one of those teams that consistently go for championships. And not just any kind of championship. They want to win a national championship or be in the running of a national championship every year. And, it starts with recruiting. So, in terms of the quarterback position and a couple of other positions as well, time will tell. We'll see what happens with them. Like I said, transfer portal is coming up this Friday. So by the time you folks are listening to this show, you're probably going to be hearing updates left and right about transfer portal news. So we'll definitely see what happens with LSU moving forward, Chris. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with some of the top teams out there. For me, I think Florida, has kind of figured it out the last couple weeks. Of course, they're doing pretty well.
A lot of momentum for them. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I know you're down there in the area. You had a chance to kind of delve into what their recruiting is looking like, Chris. From what I can see from the outside looking in, it seems like Billy Napier is getting a good grasp on keeping a lot of that in-state talent there. And there's a lot of great talent in the state of Florida, just like here in Texas. He seems to be doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, no, you're right for sure. I mean, he has a kid, Vernell Brown here. He's in Orlando. I say out here in Orlando.
Nice.
A blur at wide receiver. Don't be shocked if he's out there day one, Kory. He might not be a starter, but he's definitely will be in the mix, making plays at receiver as a true freshman. He's that dynamic. So he's someone that's going to be a problem. And he also got some good defensive guys, too, that he's keeping in state. Like a Ben Hank at corner out of Miami with the Booker T. Washington. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that school, but that's a school that every year consistently will produce D1 guys. I mean, going back to the days when Miami recruited, when you remember the Corey Harris days, Kory?
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, it's about a decade ago or more.
I know.
But that's an area that, that Booker T. Washington High School always has kids coming out that are big time. And so, he's got a pulse on the area, on the state for sure, on where the talent is, and had a lot of guys flip early on. But Brent Boston guys back in the mix, flipped them back, and even got some other guys to flip to Florida with how strong of a close to the season they have. So the things are definitely looking good and definitely held up a recruiting class that looked like it was, maybe going to go up in flames early on a couple of months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, Chris, if you would have told me, like pretty much 2 months ago, that Florida was going to have pretty much a top 10 recruiting class, I would have been like, come on now, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or close to it. They're ranked number 11 right now, but I think still having the top 12, top 15 recruiting class, especially after the year that they've had, it's still good. It's still a way to kind of gauge and see, Florida isn't out of this yet by a long shot. They still, are bringing in some pieces to hopefully help this team become a better football team and bring Florida back into prominence again. So um, let's hope that Billy Napier, brings in the staff and kind of learns from this season and try to, build on for a great 2025 coming up. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, Chris. I'm seeing an improvement on the recruiting trail for Florida. So yeah, we're definitely going to see what happens with the Gators. Another team for me that I mean, they are the number one team in the land right now in terms of recruiting. The Texas Longhorns, Chris. Texas is doing numbers right now. They got a lot of great talent coming in. Of course, I know you heard all about Jamie French from Jacksonville, Florida. So yeah, I know you heard that how good of a player he is down there in the state.
Big time. Big time. Yeah, he's definitely a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got they got a lot of guys covered in Texas that are just
they got the cheat
it's like
code.
dog. They really do, man. Them getting Jamie French. Then you also Grayson Littleton,
Mm-hmm.
another corner out of Florida, out the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Um, Myron Charles out of Port Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
It's D line, huge, 6'4", 295, and you already see how their D line is now. To get a
Right.
guy like him in the mix and get him developed, he should be making plays for you here in a couple seasons. And
Exactly.
that's excluding the guys in the state of Texas that they got to stay in state. The best of
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
Khalil Lockett, wide receiver,
Yeah.
problem. He's a
He's
problem.
really, really good player. I mean, the news down here in the Austin area, they're always talking about Khalid Lockett and Jonah Williams, all of these guys, Cade Phillips, who I heard a couple of times, at the safety position. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're doing numbers right now. For the Longhorns, so it just shows what UT is willing to do in order to be at the top of the college football land, of course. And it also shows the job that Sark and his coaching staff have done. Texas is filled with aggressive recruiters out here in the state of Texas, Chris. So good luck if you're an Aggies
It's
fan
it's
or anyone
really
else.
it's it's going to be tough, man. Because not only do they have Khalid, you got Michael Terry the third, another 5-star kid
Yeah.
who, like we said, Texas is known for creating and producing big physical wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes out of the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
6'3", 217 coming out of high school. Just a problem, a freak. Jonah Williams, safety, 6'3", 203, top 5 player in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, coming at safety. And then Cade Phillips out of Missouri City, Texas. He's a 4-star kid, top 40 nationally, and plays safety as well. They got the guys on at safety and that wide receiver. And good luck. You already know the pass rush is going to be crazy. But then when you got those guys, as they get developed, what they can do out there in the secondary, making plays and be free to just go crazy, as talented as they are, this team is set up, man.
Yeah, it's a recipe for success, and that's what Texas is looking towards. For future seasons. They're trying to keep the hype train going down here in Austin, and they, like I said, they they got the NIL. They definitely got the funds. They got the backing of the university, and they also have a really great coaching staff as well. I mean, you're in the hotbed known as Texas, just like in your neck of the woods, Chris, in Florida. Talent's everywhere. And if you are Texas, you're going out here, you're grabbing some of the best talent in the country. Who's gonna stop you? And you're going in states like Florida, grabbing great talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like you said, man. Yeah, Texas, he has that thing humming, man. So they ain't going anywhere, and they are recruiting like in SEC school.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree with you, man. So yeah, man. Those are some of my top teams in recruiting so far. There are a couple of teams out there, like we talked about LSU. I will agree with you on that. They got to be better. So we'll definitely see what happens with a team like LSU moving forward. I see Oklahoma's at 16 right now. I mean, we'll see if Oklahoma can have a little bit better stride in recruiting. I'm sure like a couple of teams out there, most teams, they're going to hit the portal hard and try to get a couple guys in the portal to try to help them with some of their deficiencies, of course. So we'll definitely see what happens with the Sooners. Did get note as we're recording, Nick Anderson, freshman wide receiver from Oklahoma, Chris, put his name in the transfer portal. So yep. You got to find a quality wide receiver, somebody that you can just plug in and play. I mean, he had a pretty decent season before he got hurt. I think he had recorded about 10 touchdowns for the year. So I know they're definitely going to be looking to get that guy to take his spot in order to produce at the receiver position.
Yeah, no, that is definitely on the list, and then of course Jackson Arnold hit the portal as well. So
yep,
they will be trying to replace some guys here this offseason, and bringing in the top 20 class that'll help soften the blow. But Oklahoma's trying to hang in there. Like we say, you're in the SEC now, man. Like 15th ranked class is solid, but it doesn't feel as good when you're in the SEC. I mean, Mississippi State has a top 25 class, and I think it's like the third worst in the conference. I mean, everybody just recruits so well in the SEC.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So, they're definitely gonna have to go out and get some guys out there for the Sooners, because look, you don't want to be behind Texas, your rival, of course. You want to be competitive too in this league. And look, it starts with recruiting. So we'll see what happens with them moving forward. And lastly, Chris, before we move on to some of our other topics on today's show, the Florida State Seminoles. I mean, look, they're coming in at number 25 on the list. I mean, we all seen what Florida State has been like. Hey, they're gonna have to do a lot better on the recruiting trail as well. I mean, Florida has really regained some strength in the state of Florida along with Miami. So hey, they definitely got some work to do.
Class. Yeah, Miami's got a squad. I mean,
Yeah,
they got some balls coming in. This everybody think this season has a 1 year deal. Well, I mean, no, it's not. Miami's not going anywhere.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so
You got to figure that out.
Miami's got a great class. Like we said, Florida, they've been doing their thing, and Florida State, you gonna have to get it together, my friend, because if you don't, you're gonna get left in the dust.
I know. So, and yeah, it's yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting look at what Florida State tries to do. I'm sure they're going to hit the portal as well. See what they can do because right now they are at the top 25 in terms of class in terms of the class sitting at 25, but usually Florida State has better recruiting classes than this one right now. Yeah, I know we're at the early signing period, so I'm really interested in seeing what Florida State does moving forward because it's one thing of having the season that you had, especially after the season prior, where you were on the cusp of going to the college football playoff. Say what the committee thought about that. But yeah, if you want to get back there, it starts with recruiting and getting good talent and cultivating that talent. So we'll definitely see what happens with the moving forward.
Sir.
Yes, sir. But yeah, man. Yeah, we'll definitely have our discussions about recruiting as we kind of move on throughout the rest of the season and the off season, of course. Once we really have National Signing Day, we'll be able to kind of look back at this as well and kind of discuss some things in terms of where teams are at moving forward for next season.
Agreed.
Yes, sir. Well, Chris, we'll go ahead and move on from recruiting. Anything last thoughts though that you had about the early signing period before we move on?
No, sir.
All right. Well, moving along, of course, Chris, we had the CFP rankings on Tuesday, as we always do. Um, this set of rankings definitely did cause quite the stir, Chris, and I'm sure you know where I'm coming from with this.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much everything from I'll say 1 through 10 is pretty much believable. Yeah, I won't really come after 1 through 10. Once we hit 11, that's where I think back, Chris, and I think about what you said. I said, you know what? Chris was right all along. I should listen to him. I should listen to him. The Alabama Crimson Tide at the number 11 spot, Chris. You said it. When that A, when them numbers on the side of the helmet is shown to that committee, they will not budge. They will
I'll
not
find a
do it.
way.
They will find a way, a scenario to say, you know what? Put them in. I think this team,
Oh
I think
man.
this team
Yeah.
has what it takes.
Right. And you know, I hear some of the arguments about their record against the top 25, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But this team lost to Vandy and just lost a couple weeks ago to Oklahoma. This is a really bad Oklahoma team, Kory.
Yeah.
This Oklahoma team ain't it. They are not playing football of a team that is a top team, a playoff team at the moment.
Mm.
If in the precedent that this committee has said, they said they want to put the teams that are playing better ball. That's what you did when you took Florida State out and inserted a Texas,
Yeah.
you know, or inserted you had Texas, you had Alabama in there,
Mm-hmm.
Washington,
In Michigan.
in Michigan. You wanted to put the teams that were playing better ball, and you can't tell me today that Alabama's playing better ball than South Carolina. And you can make a case. You could put Ole Miss in before Alabama. I mean, that's I'm not shocked, but part of me just wants so badly Clemson beat SMU on Saturday. Because if they find a way to keep Alabama in but not have SMU after losing a conference championship game, an extra game added on to their season because they were so good in conference play that they were rewarded with the opportunity to cement themselves as conference champs. Their only loss is to another ranked team in the non-conference, BYU. But if you take that team out of the playoff as an at-large because they lost to Clemson in the conference championship game and keep Alabama in, oh, we got problems. But just bring back the BCS. Like, what are we doing? This is a sham. It's a joke. If they keep SMU out and keep Alabama in, if that scenario plays out.
Yeah, it really would. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, Chris. Like, if what they're saying is if Clemson can get the job done, that does not bode well for Alabama. In terms of trying to squeeze into this thing. But
Sure
like,
doesn't.
come on, like for me, if SMU loses, Chris, why knock them out of there? Look at the season that they've had. They've done everything you asked them to do. They become a 2-loss team. What's so different than seeing the other 2-loss teams? Why are we keeping a team like Ohio State in? You know, anybody got the committee? Anybody got your answer for that?
Nope.
I can go on and on. It's not like Tennessee was lighting the world on fire either this season.
Nope. And everybody talks about Miami and their narrow victories. And yes, they've had some interesting games, but Ohio State, like you said, they ain't just been out here setting the world ablaze either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They've had
Just look
some
at that
real
schedule.
ugly wins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what are we doing? What are we basing this off on? And you're right, Chris. I'm almost at the point where I'm like, look, just bring that computer back in. We going
As
all
much noise,
BCS again.
hey, as much noise as we talked about the computers back then, boy, we need somebody unbiased. Just bring that artificial intelligence. Get the committee out of here. Just bring back them computers and let the computer sort it out. Because y'all we don't know what we're doing as human beings. We just can't keep our biases out of this. We need technology to take over at this point.
Exactly. So yeah, man, I'm totally with you, Chris. Very controversial week for the rankings. Probably the most controversial yet. But who knows? We'll give it to next Tuesday for them to kill something else to complain about.
Oh
Man.
man, yeah, man. We'll see how this championship weekend goes down, but
Yep.
it might get crazy.
Yeah, it definitely might. So yeah, man. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So we'll definitely see what happens with the rankings. I mentioned Tuesday, but will it be Sunday? Will we find out where everyone will head in terms of bowl games on Sunday? Because I feel like usually once conference championships are done, it's kind of like the next day, or do we have one
I
more?
think
Tuesday?
I'm not sure exactly. It might be.
Yeah, you know what? I have to check that, of course, because if if that's the case, then hey, we got we'll definitely have at least one more week of the rankings before we delve into the bowl season and everything. So yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that and see. Let me see. CFP rankings.
See what's going on with it. Yeah, because we would love to find out immediately what the deal is.
Exactly.
I know I want to. Let me know what shenanigans, what bull jive is going to go down, because I know it's going to be something.
Exactly. That's what makes this so important, folks. Just because, look, I think we've really need to know what these rankings are going to entail, after conference championships. Yeah, I think it's very important for us to see. I think I just noticed it. So selection day, December the 8th. So Sunday, we will have the official rankings headed into the postseason. So once conference championships are done, Chris, this is what we'll get. We'll definitely get our answer on who's in and who's out. So I can't wait to Sunday.
I can't either. So,
yes, sir.
We will find out, and just curious to see how it all goes down. Because right now, I think Ohio State would potentially be hosting the game.
Yeah. They better be happy.
They better be. And I also don't like this automatic thing where these teams get the bye just because they won the conference championship game. Mm-hmm. It's not a good look to me either. Like, it's one thing if you automatically are in it, but to potentially like make life more difficult on the team just because they won their conference. Like, Oregon's not getting rewarded if they win based on how things are looking.
No.
They're the number one team. They play either Ohio State or Tennessee. Yeah. Meanwhile, Penn State, if they lose, and they're more likely going to be the 5 seed, you get to play potentially Arizona State at home. And then go on to the next round to play, to play the 4 seed. To play what could potentially be Boise.
Right.
That's a much better road than having to play the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got some fine tuning to do to this playoff system.
No,
that did not need to be expanded.
No, you're right. And look, I think I think that this was going to come with the territory with bringing more teams. Look, I've had fun seeing a lot of these teams fall because I think with all of the issues with having 12 teams in a playoff format, Chris, this 12-team format has at least brought us some pretty cool and fun parody that makes for great content. So I think there's a lot of good and bad that comes with the format. But no, I definitely get what you're saying. There's things within it that can be a lot better. And if you're not willing to make it better, hey, I wouldn't mind bringing that computer back.
At that point, bring them back. Bring back the computer.
Yeah, let's do this all over again.
I talked noise about the BCS back then as a kid, but hey, Auburn might have got left out the national championship game, but they'll be in the playoff in this system. So hey, bring back the computers.
Exactly. I agree with you. So yeah, man. We'll definitely see what happens after championship weekend in college footballs. And we'll definitely talk about it for the show on Monday as well. Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, Chris, you're all ready to kind of delve into some of these championship games real quick before we head into Bolton's bets and get out of here on today's show.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, all right. Well, folks, championship week is upon us. Got a lot of great games coming up this weekend in college football, and really starting this Friday. Of course, we got a couple of Group of Five championship games coming up. So we'll go ahead and start off with those, Chris. So we have UNLV versus Boise State. This is a regular season rematch from both of these squads. Um, let's see. We got Boise as a 4-point favorite to win the ball game. And ESPN has them at 68.7%. So, Chris, who you got in this game? Who do you think matches up well with who, and who you think is going to come out on top?
Man, this is an interesting matchup. I said it's going to be chaos, Kory. I got UNLV.
I think I got him too. Look, I don't know what it is. I think UNLV right now is out for blood. They have not forgot. Yeah, they want their lick back. They have not forgot the regular season. It's one thing. Boise State's they've been winning ever since that Oregon loss, but it feels like they haven't gotten that one true upset yet, and this might be it, Chris. The kickoff a wild championship weekend, and I can see it now.
Yeah, no. They lost a close game to Boise, and some stuff happened in that game that they shot themselves in the foot. You had a turnover late in the first half that put Boise in great field position to get points and then score a touchdown before half. Things like that, you don't predict that happening again. And UNLV, they have the game plan. They know what they need to do. They have dynamic playmakers too, and it's an extremely well coached team. I mean, this coaching staff might get poached from all over. The head coach, the offensive coordinator. I mean, it's rumblings and rumors that all these guys that people are interested in their services. So this team is very well coached. They will be ready to play. I think they put it together. I think they win this one. I think they beat Boise and let the chaos begin to start the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think so too. Look, I love Malik Williams at quarterback. I think the guy definitely brings something to the table for this UNLV team. And, I like the rest of their players as well. Jaden Thomas is a really good running back for the Rebels. And Ricky White III has also been doing very well at the receiver position as well. So, yeah, I think they definitely match up well with Boise State. I think they have a really good game plan into stopping a guy like Ashton Gianti and Maddox Madsen. I think they have everything in front of them to hopefully win this ball game if you're a Rebels fan. So we'll definitely see. I think they learned a lot from the last game that they played in the regular season, and like you said, I think that can potentially help pay dividends in this ball game.
Sure. For sure. So yeah, give me the Rebs, give me UNLV to get the quote unquote upset. But it's only a 4-point spread. I mean, Vegas knows.
Yeah. So I know. Like looking at that, I feel like they do know. With the spread being so small and the margin of victory being that small, I think that they're feeling kind of like us, that this could potentially be the game that knocks Boise out. But man, they find ways to win, or Ashton Gianti finds ways to win. That's what makes them so good, and that actually what might can get him back into the Heisman race, Chris, as the front runner by actually having another game to play. Travis Hunter doesn't have another game to play until weeks down the line. So
this is your opportunity.
yeah,
If you go for 300 yards out here in this game, you might sway some votes.
exactly. No, I definitely agree with what you're saying, Chris. So yeah, it should be a fun one indeed. Can't wait to watch that game coming up this Friday on Fox at 7 p.m. So it should be a fun one. Moving along, Chris, we will have Tulane taking on number 24 Army this weekend. We saw Tulane; they got beat by an unranked Memphis team. I told you a couple weeks ago, Chris, that I feel like Memphis was dangerous enough to probably hurt someone's season. And it didn't hurt Tulane's conference championship appearance. That was pretty much deadlocked in. So, but it did hurt them in terms of being that group of five player that could possibly jump their way in if possible. So, yeah, this game is going to be interesting. Tulane is a 3.5 point favorite, and ESPN has them at 66.7% to win the ball game. So it's going to be an interesting game between Tulane taking on Bryson Daly. We've talked about Bryson Daly on this show, Chris. Just an excellent athlete out there for the Black Knights. Who do you have in this game?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Tulane. I think this is a get right game. Honestly, I think this is a team that's extremely well coached. With Coach John Summerall, what he's doing there in his first season, and I think he'll have the squad ready, especially coming off a loss. And this is not what Army wanted to see heading into this game. Was Tulane fresh off a loss? So I think Tulane comes in here and goes to work. They let off some frustration that they ain't in the mix no more to make the playoff and blow some steam. And they put a thumping on Army, respectfully.
Yes. No, I definitely agree with you. I think Tulane is really upset. I think that they're going to have a little bit more in the tank than Army, and I think they have an opportunity to win this game and possibly a pretty decent margin. Of course, if they can stop Bryson Daly, which he is a big part of their offense, I think they'll have an excellent day.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll definitely see what happens in that game indeed. Moving along, Chris, Big 12 championship game. Number 15, Arizona State taking on number 16, Iowa State. I think that this game is probably going to be one of the sleeper games of the afternoon on Saturday. What are your thoughts about this game right now? Arizona State, they're a 1.5 point favorite. Arizona State's at 45.1%. Iowa State is at 54.9%. So Iowa State Cyclones over the Sun Devils in this game. So what are your thoughts about this game, Chris? Because this could potentially become a shootout.
This would be a really fun game. Arizona State really love what they've done this season. And it would be such a feel-good story to see what the turnaround and for this team to cement themselves as a playoff team after, with the new head coach and what he's been able to build there and just the energy around this program. But they have a huge loss heading into this game, Kory.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Tyson, their star wide receiver. He's been just going bananas all season long. He's got 75 catches, over 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's done for the year. Yeah,
Yeah.
season-ending surgery
Mm-hmm.
on his wrist.
Wow.
It's going to be tough to replace, what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will be the difference in this game. It's a two very evenly matched teams. I think if it's close, Iowa State has had their battles. They've been on the winning side and the losing side of close games. And I think the Cyclones, I think you win. I'm rolling with Iowa State to find a way. This is a team. We talked about Rocco Beck.
Yes.
What he can do at the quarterback position. He's a really good guy. And then, of course, Jaden Higgins. Shout out to Jaden Higgins. Out of EKU, the EKU transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Just dynamic, just a playmaker. Just throw it up. He's going to go get it. He's big time at wide receiver for this team. He's someone. All the eyes on Jordan Travis and how he had been this season, but you get Higgins. I said Jordan Travis, Jordan Tyson. You get Higgins the ball. He goes and makes plays too. I've seen it in person, and he's been doing so this season. I think they find a way, man. Like I said, they've had their battles of close games, and moments like this, being battle tested and having gone through those ups and downs, I think it'll pay dividends in a matchup like this.
Interesting. Yeah. You mentioned earlier about Jordan Tyson. Tough injury, a tough blow for ASU heading into Saturday, Chris. A guy like him is very electric for that offense, as well as a guy like Scatterbo, as well. We all know about what Scatterbo brings
We
to.
love us some Scatterbo.
Yes, we definitely do. So, it's definitely tough, especially when you're Arizona State and you're trying to take on a team like Iowa State and be honest with them. You want to throw the ball as well as run it, also. So it's going to have to be a team effort in someone potentially stepping up to take Tyson's place. So we'll see what happens with that. But in terms of Iowa State, this is a big opportunity for Iowa State to submit themselves as the number one team in the Big 12 conference for both of these teams. But in terms of what I've seen and what both of us have seen from Iowa State, this is a really good football team that's still trying to find that way into the playoffs. They don't want to have their season pretty much come to a close if they can't win this ball game. So I'm giving Iowa State the upper edge in this game to potentially represent the Big 12 conference. I like what Rocco Beck does, like what he brings to the table, and like you said, Jaden Higgins is a really good receiver as well. So I'm definitely looking at the Cyclones to win this ball game against the Sun Devils this weekend.
Yeah, this will be a fun one. But yep, give me the Cyclones. So this could potentially be the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're going to bring a lot to the table from an offensive standpoint, and defense will be shown in this game as well. I think they won't leave themselves out of the equation at all. Both of these teams have pretty much done their due diligence from both sides of the ball. So yeah,
Yes, sir.
yes sir. So we'll definitely see what happens. 11 a.m. kickoff on ABC this Saturday. Moving along, Chris, we have the ACC Championship, number 17 Clemson taking on number 8 SMU. Chris, who do you have in this ball game? Because hey, we just talked about it earlier. Clemson gets in, possibly doesn't bode well for a team like Alabama that's on the outside looking in. But if an SMU wins, that will be a great achievement for a team like SMU that's trying to bring themselves back to prominence. Of course, with Rhett Lashley, Clemson's a 2-point favorite to win the ball game, and the ESPN matchup predictor has SMU at 53.8%. So, Chris, who do you have in this ball game?
Yeah, man, this is another really interesting matchup. SMU, they've had their share of battles, but they've been playing some really good football lately. We really love this team and just the offense that they have. Of course, with Jennings running the show at quarterback, he's been playing very well this year, and this team just really physical, really tough. Got some good players. Got some of those gems out of the state of Texas to help bolster this team, and they're getting the most out of them, just showcasing the talent level of the guys out in Texas. And Clemson has a Texas guy himself with Cade Klubnik.
Yeah.
Out of Austin, Texas. So this will be an interesting matchup. I think. Look, I just have a feeling, Kory, and we have talked about this all year. This feeling of 2007. What would be more 2007 than SMU losing in the conference championship game? Unfortunately, I'm going with Clemson. I think that Dabo has that championship medal. He knows what it's like to be in coaching in games like this. This is new territory for SMU, first year in the conference. I think we have to factor all of that stuff in this. Like it's just intangible things, and SMU can very well come out here and beat Clemson. I wouldn't be shocked. But to ignore the fact that, first year in the conference championship game, all those feelings, the spotlight shining bright on you, and then Clemson's a program that's been there, done that. And yes, this is a new group of guys that haven't won a championship, but Dabo has. And I'm sure he'll have these guys 100% locked in for this game, especially coming off a tough loss to South Carolina. That's the thing. Teams coming fresh off of losses, it's not good for the team that's playing them next, especially in a game like this. They are going to be locked in. I'm going with the Tigers.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. Look, man, this is a big game for Dabo Swinney and his squad. I mean, look, we harping back to the beginning of the season, Chris, where everyone was like, look, I think the game has passed a guy like Dabo Swinney by. We don't think he has it in him now, especially in this new era of college football. Can he get the job done? You're taking on SMU. Historically, SMU has not recruited in the level that you have, but in this new era of NIL, some of that's kind of thrown out the window now. This is like a new lease on life for a lot of schools now, to get ahead. I mean, look at Vandy. They're a prime example of them getting better. So, they're definitely going to have to, lock their chin straps tight this Saturday, because I don't think that this will be this will be an easy game for Clemson this weekend. But if they can get the job done, if they can stop this offense from SMU that has been so so important to setting the tone for SMU. I think they have a real good shot at beating some teams in the playoffs. If they could get through this, maybe that recharges this Clemson team. It really rejuvenates them overall. So yeah, I will have to say, for me, I think Clemson wins. I think they got enough horses to win this ball game. I still love SMU, but I won't count out Davo just yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm right there with you, brother. It is these. If this plays out like that, it just sets up for just a wild Sunday.
Yeah. Can you imagine the committee just scrambling?
Oh, yes. I do. I can't imagine. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they will be scrambling.
Oh my gosh! Hey, look, as what the one Lane Kiffin said a couple years ago about getting your popcorn ready, get your coffee ready, committee, because you ain't shutting them eyes. You gonna be mapping the 12 teams to midnight, past midnight.
Bruh. Oh my goodness. Yes. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be something else. But I think this game will be fun too. I think this will be a really fun game. I can see this one coming down to the wire as well. I can see Clemson getting out ahead early. I can see SMU getting out ahead early to a substantial lead, and either team fighting back. I don't think one team will back down to the other. I just think if it gets tight, though, I think Clemson will find a way, especially after experiencing that South Carolina loss. They will look to correct things that could have been done that would have won them the game last week.
Right. So yeah, we'll definitely see what happens in this game, but it should be a fun one. Should be a fun one indeed. So, and that's a 7 p.m. kickoff on ABC. So definitely be sure to tune into this game. Moving along, Chris. Before we get to the SEC championship, we got the Big Ten championship. We got Penn State taking on Oregon. This should be a fun game. Penn State, or Oregon, I should say, is a 3-point favorite to win the ball game. And ESPN has Penn State at 53.7%, Chris. ESPN thinks Penn State has what it takes to take down this Ducks team. It very much is interesting. We have not seen this Oregon team be wavered all season. It's just like they just been coasting. So, what are your thoughts about this game? Because I'll say this: if Penn State can do that, hey, look, I'll be the first one to owe James Franklin an apology. I think a lot of people will. What are your thoughts?
I'll have no choice but to do so myself. I think this is going to be easy money for Oregon. Honestly, they have the players and the coaching staff to know they will, of course, want to establish a running game and dominate the line of scrimmage, but they will look to expose a Penn State secondary that I don't think has been challenged properly yet this year. This is a brand new secondary group. They were locked down last year, and they lost those guys to the league.
Yeah,
challenge these guys. This is a new core. I don't think they've been challenged, but Oregon can do so. So I think Oregon will do so, and will force Drew Allard to make some plays. And he's a talented quarterback, but he has his deficiencies too. I think any quarterback can look pedestrian if you heat him up. I expect them to get some pressure on them. Oregon wins the game by a couple TDs.
Yeah, there's a part of me is like I don't see Penn State having any answer for Dylan Gabriel and squad. I think they've been playing lights out all season. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they had a couple close ones, for sure, but it just out of everyone, they really haven't shown much of a weakness. I don't even know what Oregon's weakness is right now. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe what ESPN's thinking, we'll finally see it on Saturday. But as of right now, I gotta go with Oregon because they've handled their season um, about as well as anyone else in the country. So I'm definitely looking at the Ducks to come out on top.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's gonna be that game. It'll be on CBS. 7 p.m. will be start time for that game. So definitely tune in to that. And finally, Chris, we got Georgia versus Texas. Right now, Vegas has the line. It's even right now, Chris. That's all it says. It's even. or the
Yeah.
or I'm looking at it right now. I think they're looking at it as a 2.5 point favorite. So it's close to even. And the ESPN's matchup predictor has Texas at 61.5% to win the ball game. So yeah. 2.5 is the spread from what I can see. So yeah, Chris, who do you have in this ball game? Texas looking to get revenge back on Georgia. Have they figured it out? We'll see. Is Georgia capable in knocking out Texas again? We'll see about that. But what are your thoughts?
Georgia is capable of winning this game. I would be wrong. I feel like I would be, crazy to say they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think they will. How that game played out the first time, just Georgia continuously in great field position, driving a short field to get touchdowns and get their scores. You just don't predict that happening again. I think it'll be a completely different game this time, Kory. And based off what we've seen as of late, this Texas defense is so tough. And Georgia, they've had their struggles. Carson Beck has looked erratic. He's played very erratically, this season, and then just turning the ball over left and right. I mean, if you force him to drive the ball 75, 80 yards consistently, I think chances are that Texas can force him to make a mistake and get their turnovers. And this time it could be Texas with the short field. And we saw Quinn make some throws. I think Texas is the better team. I think they're the better bet. If you're going to pick somebody, I think you pick Texas. I'm going with the Longhorns in this one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Longhorns too, Chris. I think they definitely have something on the defensive side of the ball that can really get Carson Beck to kind of think twice, maybe 3 times, 4 times about throwing, of course, and really get him to start shifting around the field. That's what you want to do. You want to make him as uncomfortable as possible. I think that's the game plan this week for Texas. The last couple weeks, they have established themselves as probably the best defense, bar none, in the country right now. Let alone the SEC. So I'm looking at Texas to win the ball game. I think they'll do well at the time of possession. They'll definitely make sure that they can keep the football a little bit longer than Georgia and take the air out of the football and hopefully come out of Atlanta with the W. So I'm looking for the Longhorns to win.
Yeah, man, this will be huge. First year in the conference, you beat Georgia to win the SEC championship. So it'd be a huge statement to everybody. So I I think they're not only for big ramifications for this season, there are long term ramifications with this game, and then the same for Georgia. You kind of assert yourself as the big bro in the conference if you win in this one. You're Texas is now the Georgia to your Alabama. I mean, it was Alabama that was always the team that gave Georgia struggles, and you could beat Texas twice in the same season. That could go a long way with kind of messing with their psyche and their momentum so far this season. So it's a big game for both teams, both programs. I just think Texas should come away victorious in this one.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Real quick question, Chris, before we move on to Bolton's bets, and I'll get you out of here. If Georgia loses this ball game, are they still a playoff team? They have 3 losses.
You gotta be, like we said, man. You can't be discrediting teams for losses in conference championship games. You can't boot them out. Yeah, they're still a playoff team. Definitely, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. There's no way that you can just knock Georgia off even after those 3 losses. Can you knock off someone like Ole Miss? Yeah, maybe. when you look at the losses that a team like Ole Miss had, those are significant losses that you can't really come back from. The Georgias, the Texases, the Alabamas. Well, maybe Alabama. They did lose to Oklahoma and Vandy, but those are the things we talk about in terms of the bias and actually looking at people's schedule and seeing what they did out there in terms of their resume. So I definitely get what you're saying in terms of them being in the SEC championship. How could you overlook that? So I can see they definitely have an opportunity to probably still be in there.
Agreed. Yeah, they better not, boy. Boy, hey, Stanky, have a fit.
That man be marching right to the ASCC office in Birmingham.
What? Oh, he would cut up if they don't have Georgia in there because they lost the conference championship game. Yeah. Oh, boy.
We can't have that now.
They gonna ride it. They gonna ride in Athens and the whole entire state of Georgia. It's gonna get bad. So yeah, we can't have that happening.
Oh man, yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. So it'd be interesting, but yeah, should be a great week, Chris. In terms of championship week in college football. Before we head out of here, Bolton's bets, Chris. I'm gonna leave the floor to you. Let the people know, what are they looking at in terms of, trying to make the right bets? What should they be trying to accomplish, in terms of, making some money in some of these top games this week?
Trying to go for the 3-peat. So the last 2 installments, Bolton's bets, we swept it 3-0 each week. So we're trying to keep the momentum going. And just looking at these matchups, and of course the lines are all very close. We want to try to look for how these games can play out potentially. And me personally, I would venture on the side of taking a UNLV money line straight up if you want to live a little dangerous. But you could take UNLV with the points +4. You can also just go ahead and take the money line, get plus money with UNLV. I really think they beat Boise. This will be a fun game. I think UNLV they have upset on their mind, and I think they want to get their lick back right here and play spoiler on Boise's season. I think Tulane, you take Tulane to cover. Tulane's 5-point favorites. Like I said, Army's been a great story. Tulane has the real deal at head coach, and John Summerall is a very prideful coach, and I'm sure this team has a lot of pride, and they will be looking to bounce back and blow off some steam. Like I said, after having their opportunity to spoil the party and make the playoff ruined. And lastly, before I'll also give a bonus game, but lastly, take Oregon to cover against Penn State. I just think Oregon's the best team in the nation with how they played this season. Consistently week in and week out. Start off a little slow the first few weeks of the season, but I mean, the last 8-9 games, you can't really say anything bad about how this team has played. And you're asking me to pick James Franklin, coach team, to win a conference championship game? I'm gonna take Oregon every time, respectfully. Just give me Oregon over Penn State. I mean, it's not even a question. And then the bonus game, take Texas to cover against Georgia. It might sound crazy going that might be a game you just want to sit back and watch. You might not want to have any of your pennies involved tied into this one. But from what we've seen, Kory, I just think Texas really is the better team, and they are set up to win a game in a neutral site. Just how that game played out the first time they played was really weird. That's not going to happen again. I don't think you can replicate that with all the. I can't stress enough just the short field opportunities Georgia had in that game. I don't think that happens again. So give me Texas. So that's what we're looking at. You can take the first three, and if you want to, go ahead and throw Texas on there to cover. But we rocking with Tulane, UNLV, and Oregon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all of these games out there, folks. So, if you're out there, you're betting, man or woman, you're out there trying to make a little extra change out there during the championship week. I think Chris has you covered with some of the top picks for championship weekend. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And good luck to all of you out there. So yeah, Chris, we always appreciate you giving your take on Bolton's bets. And yeah, man, championship week is upon us. Can't wait to watch some of these great games. It should be a fun one. And yeah, I know we're definitely going to be going back and forth talking about some of these games as well this weekend. So
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, my brother, great having you on the show again this week. About to get you out of here so you can get you something to eat. But outro.
Yes, sir.
Let people know where they can find you.
Find me on X at Chris_Bolton_12 and on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_. Holla at your boy. We talking everything on there. So just tap in. You'll see me tweeting about this weekend, all the shenanigans that'll be going down with these games, because we know there will be chaos because it's college football, and that's all we know. So it should be fun.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, brother. And yes, folks, you can find me on X at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling, the whole nine. So I'll definitely be on there this weekend talking about some of the top games in championship week, and probably a little bit of high school football, some state championship games going on in the state of Mississippi, in me and Chris's home state. So yeah, we'll definitely be on there conversating with you good folks. So
yes, sir.
So yeah, but everyone, we appreciate you guys listening in to the show. As always, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show, and it's definitely important for us. So be sure to do that. And yeah, we'll definitely be back Monday to review everything that happened in championship Saturday of the college football season. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. But until next time, guys, I'm Kory Willis. He's Chris Bolton. You were listening to the Breakdown Sportscast. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.